Hello, Year 6. So, final session of this week for our English. Bit of a quick starter for you. I'd like you to put in some, or sort of identify which type of pronoun is being used in each of these sentences. Now, we've not covered all of these different types of pronouns, but we have covered relative pronouns. And if you know what the words personal and possessive mean, you should be able to work out the other two. What I would do is I would start by saying which one is the relative pronoun, because you know that one really comfortably. Then look at the other two and think, right, which one of these is a pronoun that relates to the person, and which one of these is the pronoun that relates to their possession of something. That way, I bet you'll be able to work them out. Sometimes you have to apply a little bit of process of elimination and work through what you know. So a bit of a testing starter, this one. Pause the video here, have a go at working those out. When you've done that, start the video up again and I'll speak to you then. But for now, have a go at that question. Okay, so they is a personal pronoun referring to a group of people, referring to them, in fact. Ours, that's the possessive pronoun. Ours is talking about belonging, something belonging to a group of people. And then obviously who is the relative pronoun, but you will have all known that. So yesterday we looked at how we can develop character. We looked at the use of expanded noun phrases in green there. We looked at the use of integrated dialogue with the orange. And we also looked at how we use show not tell in the red there to help get across how our characters are feeling, and also then overall develop that character to be someone that the reader can relate to, can understand, and can get on the side of. Because remember, you want the reader to be rooting for your protagonist. There's no use having a protagonist that your reader doesn't like. They're not going to be invested then. They're not going to be bothered what happens to them, which kills all the drama before you even try and build it. So that's what we looked at yesterday. Today, we're going to be looking at starting to write a little bit for our hot write. We're going to use what we write today for Monday's lesson, where we look at properly editing and up-leveling, but we are still going to have a go today at writing a really powerful opening paragraph, one that gets the reader engaged straight away. We're going to do that by building the setting and the character together. We've looked at those separately across two different lessons, but today we're going to look at bringing those two separate parts together and building character and setting at the same time. We're going to use and adapt the model text that I'm going to show you in a second. So taking ideas from that, but adapting it to be in our own words, our own style, and to do what we want it to do. And we're also going to do our very best to integrate some of those Alan Peat sentence types that we looked at yesterday. No, last week is the word I'm looking for. So it's a shorter tutorial today on this video because a lot of this is up to you to do in your own way. But we are going to firstly look at this modelled write. What I'm going to do so you can see the whole thing, I'm just going to turn my webcam off for a second so you can see the full screen. But I'm not going, I'm still going to be talking you through it. The first thing I'd like you to do though is pause the video and read the entire opening paragraph that I've written. To do that, I'm going to disappear for a second, but I'll be back shortly. Pause the video, have a read. Okay, so you should now have all had a bit of a read of that. We're now just going to go through and start identifying, and I'll move myself to the bottom corner so you can still see me, but we can also see the text. We're going to have a look at some of the techniques that I've used in there that I'd like to see you using in your piece of writing as well. So to begin with, where I say we are if it will let me, there we go. Starting with single word sentences can sometimes be really powerful. That's as simple as it gets, and they're not even officially a full and properly grammatically correct sentence, but they're a powerful technique to really drive home a point, Your cave might not start with silence. You might start with a bang, some loud noise to begin things off, to immediately, boom, throw the reader right in at the deep end, right in to the action. So you're capturing them straight away. Silence is a good way of starting with some tension, but think about if you want to maybe start with a single word, and what word do you want that to be? What effect do you want to have straight away? We've then got some ideas of personification. Now I'm talking about a cave, and a cave definitely doesn't really have bowels. Bowels are a human thing or an animal thing. They're a part of a body, but it's the idea of the very depths, the darkest, most deep part of a cave. So the idea of personification and working that figurative language technique in is really useful in our narratives. Steady, monotonous dripping. We've got that idea of not quite an expanded noun phrase, because dripping, of course, isn't a noun, it's a verb, but we've still got that powerful combining of adjectives to really get strong description and vivid imagery through our writing. Ancient, unyielding granite, however, is an example of an expanded noun phrase. Two adjectives being paired with a noun to create that expanded noun phrase. We've got examples of integrated dialogue. We'll look at that properly later, because that's not actually dialogue. That's more sort of sound effects, but you can have that nonetheless if you want to get some sound through. And obviously that's not a word. So sometimes it's interesting thinking about, well, what would the sound be? Maybe make the sound out loud. And then think, well, what series of letters? How do I create that sound with my phonics? How do I create that noise? What letters would go together to create that sort of sound? And that's what I decided to go for that sound of footfall, gentle. We've got examples of Alan Peat sentences. So here we've got the show, give 3 examples, or tell, give 3 examples, sorry. So breath held, teeth clenched, fists balled. He waited to see if he had been heard. So what 3 ways are you showing how a character is feeling or what they're doing, and then what does that mean? So tell and show 3 examples being used there. Apart from I've done it the other way around. I've shown 3 examples and then told. Like some giant stomach churning in hunger. Similes, great way of getting in some description, another figurative language technique. And then, as I said, we've also got the integrated dialogue with all of the correct direct speech punctuation. Inverted commas being opened and then closed, commas within the inverted commas to show that the speech is going to continue, and then also lots of powerful description within that too, helping to really characterize. So you can see I've tried to include lots of techniques there. You can take ideas directly out of this model. That's why it's there. If you think about the second part of the Wilf, that's what I want you to do. Take things from it, build your own opening paragraph using this example, trying to get as many of those techniques in as you can. And that is your activity for today. There isn't today a green, an orange, and a red, because I would like everybody to have a go at this. You will sort of separate yourself a little bit with how you write, how much detail you go into, how many techniques you use. That's how you'll show whether it's a green, whether it's an orange, whether it's a red, but it will come through in your writing. I can't wait to read these. The better they are, the more you can just use them. Use the last couple of lessons as well. You've all done a really good setting description. You've all done a really good character description. Bring them together. Don't just think, oh, that's done, we're finished with that. Everything we do, every piece of work flows together, connects, and builds the overall completed piece of work. And if you use them, that's when we end up doing the very best we can. Use what we've got. Don't make yourself more work. Don't do things twice. Use what you've done, put them together, sew it together nicely to have a really brilliant finished opening paragraph. Then on Monday, we'll look at making what is already going to be a brilliant one even better. Right then, that is everything from me and everything from me for this week, in fact. Have a lovely weekend. I'll be back with you on Monday for a big read and for your English lesson. But for now, goodbye.